If you're thinking about migrating your community into Kajabi, then you need to watch today's video. There are some critical things that you need to know that could save you months of headaches and keep your members happy throughout their transition. So I recently did a webinar session for the Kajabi community where I broke down some of the biggest mistakes that people make when they migrate their communities, and I actually explained how you can avoid those mistakes. So in this session, you're going to learn how to plan your migration strategically, how to prepare your members for the change, why you shouldn't move all of your content over, and how to set up your navigation so that your members don't get lost in the new platform, which is a huge deal. This is packed with actionable tips, so let's get started. Hey everyone, Chelsea here to chat with you guys about some things to think about before you migrate your community over to Kajabi. Before I get into it though, I want to let you know who I am. Since I haven't met many of you, I am Chelsea Bernhard. I am one half of the Malva and Chelsea Kajabi Specialist duo. We are preferred Kajabi experts. There's lots going on in our business, but one of our main things that we love to do is to help Kajabi heroes migrate their memberships into Kajabi. And so today we are going to look at the aspects of migrating your community from the perspective of migration. So I know some of you here already have your community built into Kajabi and you've got members in there. I hope that today you'll still find some tidbits that might be able to help you to improve on your existing community. And if you are in the process of just setting up your community and you haven't quite moved your members in, then I hope today some of the tips that I give will be helpful for you to make that transition for your members a little bit more seamless. And if you have not yet moved your community into Kajabi and you're looking for some help on being able to do that without the big tech headache, then I've got some tips for you today. So without further ado, we're going to jump into it. Literally, the first topic I want to talk to you about today is to think about some things before you jump into it. So the first really thing you have to consider is making sure that you take the time to plan ahead of time, that you're not just going full in without a plan. So what I'd like to hope that you guys would do first before you move your community into Kajabi is to do a bit of research just to make sure that moving your community from whatever platform they're in right now, moving them into Kajabi is going to actually improve your community. Some people that we have worked with, we know that they've made the move and they weren't quite ready for it. And what we've noticed is that they didn't quite do the research into what their current platform is able to provide compared to what Kajabi is able to provide. Now we know that Kajabi's been developing this community for a number of months now, and things are growing in it quite quickly. So what's important before you actually consider the move is that you take a look at what the current capabilities are of the platform and make sure that it meets the needs of your members as well as meets the needs of what you need for the back end functionality of your business. Now, I know that there's lots of really fancy bells and whistles out there, and sometimes we like to jump on the bandwagon and hop on a new platform right away, but it might not be the best time for you. It really depends on where you're at in your business. I know some of us are early adopters that like to jump into new software right away. And some of us are a little bit more late adopters where we kind of want to wait till the software develops a little bit more. And so wherever you are on that spectrum, it doesn't really matter. It's important that you know which one you are so that you make the move when your comfort level is there. So if you're an early adopter, chances are you're capable of being able to jump into new technology without really knowing much about it, and without a lot of support, you're able to kind of figure things out as you go. If you're a late adopter, you might be somebody who is needs a little bit more support. You kind of want to wait for all the bugs and the kinks to be worked out, and you kind of come in a little bit later when it's a little bit of a smoother transition. So identify where you're at on this spectrum of being an adopter of new technology or a new platform before you go and make this jump. We've had some clients in the past that thought that moving into Kajabi right away was exciting, was new, and they were ready to go. However, their members weren't ready. So it's important to really take that time to analyze when is the right time to move into a new platform. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we know that the platform is constantly changing. There's big new exciting rollouts happening all the time. You know, here in the Kajabi community, we can see these rollouts coming, but we want to make sure that the changes that are happening are changes that are going to help us with our membership, depending on what you're doing in your membership. Now, you also have to be able to keep up with these updates and keep your members updated with that flow. So if you aren't quite at that ability level to invest the time into keeping up with these updates, then you might want to wait and be more of a late adopter and wait till they kind of finish the big chunks of updates so that you can make sure that that you have the time to invest in making sure that this platform is the right place for you. Now, that being said, it's important for those of you that are early adopters to jump in and get going, because we're able to give that kind of feedback for Kajabi to be able to continue building it, because they are very, very responsive and they are building the platform to meet our needs. So we do need to make sure that we have early adopters and late adopters. But the key thing is to understand where you're at in your business with your membership and be able to move at the right time, whether it's now or later. So just take that time to do that future research.
Hi there. Sorry to interrupt your video. I just wanted to pop in and introduce myself. My name is Malva. For those of you that haven't met me, I'm one half of the duo for Chelsea and Malva Kajabi Specialists and the co-founders of Unstuck Me Club. I know you're in the middle of a video. I'm in the middle of gardening, which if you don't find me in the club or helping clients, you'll find me in the garden. I wanted to let you know that although Chelsea's got you covered with the how-to, I do believe that there might be another thing that will solve some of your problems. As course creators and online business owners, we have a tendency to want to do everything by ourselves, and though we piecemeal some of the information, especially if we're at the beginning of our road. However, fixing one problem doesn't give you an overarching view or strategy of what's happening in your business, and most importantly, what kind of possibilities that you have in your corner when it comes to the Kajabi platform and building your online business there. So that's exactly what the Unstuck Me Club is for. It's for online course creators, online business owners that want to know how to do something, want support with strategy, want to get the big picture, want to help with implementation, want to know how to do things to be powerful enough to make some damage, but not necessarily do everything on their own. So if that sounds like you, down below you'll have a link, and I hope to see you there.
Now, the other thing that you need to consider is the needs of both your new members that are coming in after the migration, as well as the existing members that have been with you for a long time. They need some support. So we're going to talk a little bit about that onboarding process. Some things to think about when you are migrating an existing community into Kajabi. You want to make sure you know what your comfort level is of your members. So we talked about that your own comfort level. You have to be able to handle the new technology and the new platform, but you also need to know if your members are able to handle this transition as well and be able to handle the tech that comes with being in a new platform. Trying to find things can be challenging sometimes for people. And so analyzing what your current members are capable of doing. And obviously the best way to do that is to ask them, ask them how they're feeling, surveys to check to see whether or not, they're comfortable where they are right now, and if they're open and willing to transition into a new platform. So really get to know your members and understand if they're ready for a change. Another really important thing that a lot of people forget when they migrate their communities is that you actually have to consider that you're going to need to set up more onboarding processes, especially two different ones. A lot of people will set up the new person onboarding process. For example, you might set up a new set of onboarding emails for your new members coming in, but forgetting that you have long-term members that are basically needing to be onboarded again, and it's a different process to onboard them into a new platform compared to onboarding them as a new member in general. So it's something for you to consider before you do the migration, that you set up these two separate onboarding processes within your backend, but also with your communications. You may need to film some different training videos for people to come in. Those might be the same for new members or your current members, or they might be completely different videos, because you might want to speak more specifically to your current members in comparing the old system to the new system. The other thing that a lot of people forget when migrating is they forget to prepare their members. A migration process takes quite a long time. It can take several months. If you have a very large community, it is really important to start preparing them in advance, letting them know that you are going to be migrating, that you're going to be changing platforms. You don't necessarily have to give them dates or anything like that, but just starting to, plant the seed that change is coming so that they can start to be prepared for that. Some people are really great at jumping on change and won't have a problem at all. Others are going to really struggle with that change, and you're going to need to kind of get them prepared in advance. So there's a lot of communication that needs to be prepared before you actually do the move. And a lot of people forget about that, and then the members are really caught off guard, and they struggle. And some of them just completely resist and don't even want to be part of the new system. So preparation of your members is really, really important. And part of that, to kind of smooth over the transition, some suggestions could be to offer your members to pause their membership for a month. So you can give them that opportunity to come in for a month without charge, and get that new platform kind of figured out and understood, and be there to support them and help them through that process of transitioning. Or you could just offer them a discount for staying on for during that transition. So just some ways to kind of smooth it over a little bit and make sure that your members are feeling good about this transition. The other part that is really important is, once your members are in there, they need to be able to navigate through all of the different parts seamlessly. So content navigation is key when it comes to migrations. Now, it's not just about once they're in there, but it's important to think about this before you migrate people, because when you're moving a community, especially a well-established one, you tend to have a lot of content in it. And often when we get clients that want to migrate their community, they say, hey, go into the platform and just move everything over. Yet we advise that you don't necessarily move everything over. You might have 5, 6, 7, 8 years worth of stuff, and moving that all over is not really going to be a benefit to your members. So we recommend that you just move the newest, most relevant content only. So this is an opportunity to kind of do a little bit of a spring cleanup, potentially just looking at maybe the most recent year, and just take that content and move that over. Now, that doesn't mean that the rest of your content can be gone. I would store it, offline or in a, Google Drive account or something like that, so that if the topic comes up in your membership, you still can pull that content and add it into the membership. So just keeping everything relevant, this can help reduce that overwhelm of just so much content. So think of it as the migration into a new community is kind of a fresh start for everybody, especially if you have a very large or long-term membership. Now, when it comes to putting your content into the community, you want to think of what are the different ways that people are going to get to that content. Kajabi does a really good job at allowing us to be able to have nice header links up top. Now, I've seen in the past, some people just go like link crazy and they fill the header up with like everything. And this is a big no-no. You want to really plan what you're going to put in those header links. It has to be very strategic, because you want to have the most direct pathway to your most relevant content, and anything that is not as relevant can be kind of hidden underneath or be like a sublink. So again, the thought process needs to be done before you actually put together your community. So think about what links are the most relevant and keep it as slim as possible. The great thing about the Kajabi community that I absolutely love is the fact that we can customize the homepage. This is a huge thing. For us to be able to customize a landing page and then put that into our Kajabi community is absolutely massive. So if you haven't even looked at this yet, this is key. No longer do you have to have the homepage be just a feed of random content, you can really guide your members into exactly where they should go in the community. So when you build this landing page, you need to consider two things. You have new members that are brand new coming into the community, and then you also have your returning members that they've logged in multiple times. They don't necessarily want to see the same thing as a brand new person. So your homepage, that landing page that you customize, needs to have the most specific links, the most relevant links for new members and for returning members. So when people come back into the membership, they have quick access to everything they need. Now we have the circles on the side, which is really great. Another big issue I've seen is a lot of people just putting, 10 circles in there, and that can be absolutely overwhelming for your members. So again, before you build your community, plan what circles you're going to have and try to keep them as slim as possible. The least number of things for people to have to go and find things, the better. I know the logic is some people think that the more circles I have, the more I can kind of sort things out. In fact, this actually confuses members a lot more. So the less circles we recommend, the better for navigation. So as a whole, before you create your community in Kajabi, really plan out how are people going to be moving around the platform, both into your courses, into any other products that you might have connected with your community. How are they going to navigate between them all and be able to continue to come back into the community as well? So there's a big planning process that takes place here so that you're able to provide them with everything that they need for when they come in and they don't get completely lost. So overall, just really want to emphasize the fact that it's important that you don't rush moving your membership into a new platform. Take the time to learn the platform's capabilities, decide what do you really need in your community, what's just a want. You can build your community as a minimal viable product, meaning just get the basics in there and then grow it in the future. Really talk to your members. This is a big thing. So important that you prepare your members for this migration and really consider the experience they're going to have inside of the community and making sure that they are not lost in the navigation. Now, if you want to actually see the updated Kajabi community features in action and get a walkthrough of what's possible inside of the platform, then I've got a full feature walkthrough video that just popped up on your screen. Go ahead and click on that video right now so you can see if the Kajabi community is the right fit for your members and your business. And if you've got questions about your specific community migration, or if you need some help figuring out what the best strategy is for your specific situation, you can drop a comment below, or you can head over to unstuckmeclub.com and you can ask your questions right there in the club.